Okay.
Go.
Go ahead, Ruben.
Yeah, we're with Keelan Shriners, and we do this to help kids.
All right, and what are you doing today? Is this St. Patty's Day?
St. Patty's Day parade, we're marching in the parade.
And doing Buddha belly rubs.
Buddha belly rubs, excellent. And what are you raising money for?
We raise money for Shriners Hospitals for children.
Okay, and what are those?
Those are 22 hospitals across the country, specializing in orthopedic care and a couple burn hospitals for children.
And the Shriners are?
Masons.
They're Masons, okay. And that would be this building way up there.
Yeah.
And that Masonic temple, is that yours particularly?
I bought it yesterday.
You bought it yesterday?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and that was obviously after George Washington set the cornerstone, correct?
How'd you know that?
I don't know, something about that place.
In the Middle Ages we were owned by kings and queens, earls and counts, barons and lords, tsars, dukes, duchesses, countesses, baronesses, archdukes, who had their knights and templars working as their police force for them to control the sheeple. Just as it is today, nothing has really changed. Or does anyone think they just disappeared like that? They were parasiting on the people and the workers, who had to give taxes and percentage of wheat, vegetables and cattle. And many times the sheeple starved to death in winter after a bad harvest. While these parasites and pharaohs were partying in the castle, drunk of the wine they had stolen, their bellies well fed, with robbed food that should have been for all those hungry children. And they had their beds warmed up with young virgins of the sheeple due to the prime noctus, droit de cuissage, droit du seigneur or first right, allowing these parasites to grab the newly wed bride on the very night of her wedding to come and lay with the Lord and Master, thus spreading the pharaonic genetics all over. Yes, the word pharaoh etymologically derives from two demotic words, per and a, meaning the big house. The big royal house of the pharaonic royal bloodline, as my dear friend William Morgan, 1776, so cleverly discovered that Genesis actually means the gene of Isis, and Geneva in the octagon base, gene of Eve, being one and the same one. I'm so glad my pupils are getting smarter than me, so I can retire soon. Just as the pharaohs never disappeared, the nobility never lost their power either. The word aristocracy is pharaonic, aristocracy. A means big or pregnant, and ri means the sun, meaning those who come from the sun. Just as the Aryans, the Indo-Germanic nobility and upper class, Aryan is from Arion, as in aristocracy, which means that those who came from the sun with their blue blood and all their ruling, and they still do. Don't be mistaken. And here at this royal ball, well, we can see the pharaoh here. So, you know, that's where they came from. It's the same. It's just the same. And today, children disappear and they get raped, tortured, sacrificed and murdered in castles like Amérois in Belgium and Sautou in Luxembourg and many other places as the Bohemian Grove by very organized gangs like the Dutroux gang and by Fourniret, whose name indicates to deliver the king, fournir roi, without children in this case. The nobility always were into Satanism and other dark mystical practices of their pharaonic ancestors as ritual child sacrifice. They always did, and they always will, protected by their knights, police and authorities. In the 18th century there was Marquis de Sade, where the word sadism actually comes from. So I don't have to tell you what his favourite pastime hobbies were about. Napoleon Bonaparte finally put him in prison for 10 years after his arrest in 1801, and he died in 1814. Prince Charles publicly admitted in 2011 that he's a descendant of the Prince of Wallachia, or Vlad Dracul, the Impaler of Transylvania, as we know him. He lived from 1431 till 1476, and his favourite hobbies were torture and impaling. Impaling means having implanted a stick up yours, coming up from the mouth and then set up in the ground vertically, being his interpretation of a crucifixion. Well, look at the 8-pointed star on his forehead. That's octagon, right? Nobility. He did this to 100,000 people, mostly Saxons, and even the Ottoman Muslim army turned around and went back when they came to a forest of 20,000 impaled. From 1730 to 1801 we had the Russian nobility under the Tsar with Darya Nikolaevna Saltykova, torturing and murdering at least 200 people. This is the nobility, folks. They always did it, and they never stopped doing it. From 1560 to 1614, Countess Erzsébet Báthory of the Hungarian nobility, also called the Blood Countess, tortured and murdered 650 virgins of the Sheeple, because she believed that bathing in a virgin's blood would keep her young forever. She and her fellow aristocrats even constructed an ingenious metal structure in which the victims could bleed to death, still being alive and sadistically tortured on the way. So this is the coat of arms of the royal Báthory, of the Blood Countess. Ex-President Sarkozy of France comes from the Hungarian aristocracy, being related to the Blood Countess, as the pharaonic part Tsar in his name means king in Demotic. And this is the Blood Castle, where she was imprisoned in 1610, only because the Sheeple started an uprising after 650 of their virgins disappeared. So it took the Sheeple 650 victims to act. How typical. The American Sheeple even need more. 3,000 victims sacrificed at 9/11 for another liquid, and still counting. The Americans act big, martial and Spartanic at the shooting range, with the best goodies you can imagine, waiting though to be hauled up for the slaughterhouse, without ever having used their goodies. And watch here, we can see the airplane going through concrete and steel and coming out on the other side intact, as if nothing has happened. Oh, they made a big mistake here. Baron Gilles de Rais was an aristocratic French serial killer who lived from 1404 to 1440, who sodomized, tortured and murdered at least 600 boys and girls from the age of 6 to 18, together with his accomplices Poitou and Henriet. He used to laugh seeing his victims dying while he opened up their stomachs, admiring their intestines, a thing he was fascinated with. And look at this. This is his seal of his royal house of de Rais, and here we can see the Templars cross just on the Swiss Army knife, the same. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, because most cases are not known, because the sheeple and stupid white race couldn't even read or write to document it all. So the two parasites in society were, and still are, the aristocracy and the ecclesiastical orders of the priests of Amun, who never worked and always lived of the blood of others, in some cases even literally. Over the years and centuries, these parasites grew fat, never hungered, having great parties with music and troubadour, and just reproducing like rabbits in between the parties. And all descendants wanted to be king or queen and have the castles. So wars broke out between them, which the sheeple had to fight out. Nice haircut. Oh, what a legs. And what a nice shoes. And once a king, he wanted to stay king forever, and then even handed over to his pedigree. So rivalry started, and after hundreds of years of wars between the kingdoms and second son aristocracy, as the Templars, etc., they finally came together and decided to elect a king by the stupid sheeple for 4 years only. And so democracy started. And due to the increasing revolts, revolutions and uprisings of hungry peasants, the parasites of the nobility decided to go underground in Freemason lodges, divided in 33 degrees, indicating in fact the degree of pharaonic genes of the noble bloodlines in their veins. That's why Bernhard, the SS Prince of Darkness, founded the Bilderberger, who stand, due to their pure pharaonic blood, even over the usual 33 degrees of pharaonic percentage. It's like a bottle of whiskey, you know, like having 33 degrees of alcohol in it. And they have 33 degrees of pharaonic genetics. And don't think that Kate Middleton, Cosima, and the girls of the so-called civil marriages with the nobility don't have a certain degree of pharaonic bloodline in their veins. They all have. There are just so many of them nowadays hiding amongst us and all trying to get a key position with the authorities where they can parasite on humanity without working a single day. So the pharaohs never went away. They became the aristocracy and the nobility. And the nobility never lost power and they never really went away. They rule through their politicians and Freemason lodges. So it's still the pharaohs ruling. I've been telling you for years. All the politicians are descendants of the nobility and aristocracy of the Middle Ages who went into hiding modes in Freemason lodges. That's why they want more and more police, because there are more and more of them who want to be a knight and do nothing. They protect child molesters and could stop drugs and prostitution within 24 hours. But it is them as well, earning money with organized crime at the expense of our children. Here you can see the drug dealers all hanging around in Bern next to the police station where they feel the most safe. I filmed this in 2011 with a mini DV, so the quality is not that good. I would like to do it again, but I can't go out alone, and especially in the evening or in the night. They're selling all these drugs to our children and the police is doing absolutely nothing. Instead of that, they terrorize me and my family, and they terrorize innocent defenseless families and come with a terrorist police. Can you imagine? While they're doing nothing here. There they are, they're all, and later on they even aggressed us. because they saw I was filming. We had to get out very, very quickly. They came, they hit on the car. I was with a guy, a German bloke. Next to the police station in Bern. They do nothing. It's them controlling the drugs trade. The authorities, the police, the politicians, it's them controlling the drugs trade, I tell you. And they want to get rid of kids who have a potential to think for themselves. This is why King Philip of France, Philippe le Bel, chased the Templars, because they and their new system of democracy through Freemasonry endangered his heir to the throne and the ancient order of things, that only the firstborn had a right to the throne and not the second, third or fourth son, as the Templars were in fact. So burning the Templars by the French king was nothing else than an internal war between them. But now they've set it all aside and recognizing that they have all the pharaonic bloodline, and I mean, there's enough to share. And they founded Switzerland. They are in peace now against us. And the Templars needed a base where they speak all the important European languages, so they founded Octagon, Switzerland, which is now the base of all pharaohs, politicians, Freemasons, drug trafficking and nobility, who put aside their corruption money on a secret Swiss account. And here we can see the UBS with the 3 sixes in it and the three times the V symbol. And I told you, they call it the beast. As you can see here, this is the beast. Just as they have the bear in the coat of arms in the capital of Octagon, UBS is the beast, and they control the money. And they have the 666. See my other films. Even Kim Jong-un, North Korea's pharaoh, went to school in Switzerland, Liebefeld, 10 minutes away from where we live. Now why would a country that despises the West send their next pharaoh in the very heart of the very same West? He's a pharaoh. They can be Chinese, they can be black, they can be everything. And they all go to school in Switzerland. Well, the global elite rule the whole world, and they all send their offspring to the pharaonic Octagon, to a boarding school for the elite, where they get taught some more things as in a normal school for the sheeple. So here's Kim Jong in his Swiss school with Swiss children in Liebefeld. There he is. He was in an international school before, and then he went to a normal school. Yeah. And in the 1920s, the German people were starving, so they founded the NSDAP, which was a workers' party for and by the people, which was very soon infiltrated by the nobility and Hitler, turning the NSDAP, a workers' party, into a aristocratic-led gang, where their members carried the von word in their names. The official turning point was 1934, the night of the Long Knives, where the last delegates of the workers and the German people were murdered by the pharaohs and their nobility. So you understand that Graf von Stauffenberg never put a bomb under Hitler's table. He just betrayed the movement of July the 20th, where real German officers wanted to finish the Nazi dictatorship over their people. I mean, if they would have wanted to kill Mr. Hitler, they could have done it easily, but it just needed a sacrifice. On the right hand side is his mother-in-law, born Freiin von Stackelberg. Freiin, that means she was free and not a slave as the sheeple. And her name was after she married Vrijvrouw Anna van Leichenfelde. Vrijvrouw, that means she's a free woman. Well, that says it all, doesn't it? So on the left hand side we can see so here we can see Stauffenberg with his wife. Funny enough, she looks like Merkel. Who knows? It's all the same bloodline anyway. So, and this is the mother of Stauffenberg's wife. Well, I mean, that is not German. This is not German. This is Pharaonic. This is Pharaonic. And look at the long Pharaonic hands. Look at it, like Obama. And here, oh, fleur de lis. That's the lotus of the Nile. They're all pharaohs. So people should organize in 4-man groups only, because everything gets infiltrated. I mean, look at what they did in Auschwitz and the other concentration camps. This is the same kind of satanic, sadistic cruelty as the nobility always did to the Europeans and all other peoples of the world. It's them all right, the pharaohs and their octagon base in the mountains. And look, the nobility and power, they even brought back one of their favorite instruments of torture. Waterboarding. It already existed in the Middle Ages. Look at it. It came back. It's them all right. They did it then and they still do it today. The Americans fought against the British Crown, who then set up the Americans against each other and then took over power again through secret Freemason lodges of the very same aristocracy as that crown they fought before, now smiling and telling everyone what he or she wants to hear. There's nothing left of the freedom they fought for. Nothing. The nobility and the crown is ruling again. They set the Americans up against each other through the Civil War, and then they took power again. Divide and rule. Now, just as they want to put up Islam against the Americans, it's still the same thing. Divide and rule. It was all for nothing. I've seen with my own eyes and I heard it with my own ears how the Swiss police and the Justice Department of Nazi Switzerland lie, where these Swiss Nazis just invent things so they can terrorize me and my family over a period of a long 16 years. They lie. These authorities of the pharaonic aristocracy, they lie about 9/11. They lie about World War II, and they lie about these 2 Chechen kids who love the US. This is the enemy of mankind, the same pharaonic aristocracy in their Freemason lodges, their politicians and judiciary, and their same knights in the police and octagon army. And if humanity will not learn to unite very soon, mankind and the whole earth will lose as a whole. Like in the Middle Ages, they still are our masters and owners, and they own us by forcing us to have a number and show them identification proving they own us. Just like cattle having a number punched in the ear or under the skin somewhere. This is where the aristocracy, the kings and queens, the nobility they dreamt of in the Middle Ages, and now they perfectly have it. They just have to conceal it from us, or not even that. There are no more valors where families live in poverty and a man can marry another man and even adopt a baby, as they voted in France like 3 weeks ago. Being not the product of their unholy union. They can't reproduce themselves, but still, there are more and more of them. Well, that's no wonder. when defenseless babies have to grow up with them. Once they came along with great armies as masons and built roads, aqueducts and castles, and now they still call themselves masons, though the real work being done by their sheeple, so they're free, we their masons. This is Castel del Monte in an octagonal shape. This is octagon with the triangle of the masons at the entrance. They videotape us everywhere as a shepherd keeping an eye on his cattle, and we have to carry documents with a picture on it to show the ownership by them owning us. The aristocracy owns us just as in the Middle Ages. 30 million Russians starved to death due to this aristocratic parasite called the Tsars, leading to uprisings and revolutions, just as elsewhere. So the aristocracy had to hide in secrecy. So this means they are afraid of us, very, very afraid. And maybe we still have a tiny little chance left.
The Calliope.
Welcome, welcome, welcome to the House of Freaks. Prepare to see some people with some very odd physiques. Sit back, my friends, relax, my friends, the show is quite informal. Cause when you see these folks, you will be grateful that you're normal. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the House of Freaks. Let's bring out the strangest folks you've seen in weeks.
To order, brethren, to receive the most merciful, the Grand Master.
Self-evident, Brother Franklin, all men are created equal.
Indeed, Brother Washington. All Freemasons meet as equals, and we have an opportunity to create a nation in the very essence of Masonic morality. It would be wonderfully symbolic, don't you think?
You'll be wanting to put the all-seeing eye on our banknotes next.
You think I'm taking it a bit far?
Please don't ask me questions like that, Brother Franklin. You know I cannot tell a lie.
Oh, come on, Brother Washington. Everybody lies occasionally, surely, especially politicians.
Not me. Not even so much as an alternative fact.
But we must all be aware of fake news.
The people must be free to think what they like as well. We can have no thought police in our new society. The foundation stone of our new nation built on all those principles that we hold dear.
The plans for our new capital city already have a very Masonic feel to them, yeah.
Candidate for initiation into the order, I'm giving him a little introduction into some of our mysteries. These two gentlemen are founding an entire nation built on our principles.
We have great promises for our new nation. You know, I wonder if other presidents after me will also be Freemasons.
Many will be. And Freemasonry will become embedded in the American culture. And the eye will appear on the banknotes.
Oh, God.
These principles will be honored with a gift from your French brethren. A gift that will be a welcoming beacon to the poor and oppressed.
This is the statue we are giving you.
It's a bit small, isn't it?
Oh, this is a maquette. The real thing is bigger. Much, much bigger. I call her Liberty Enlightening the World.
Catchy.
America will produce a great many great Americans from many different walks of life and many different fields, and many will be Masons. Sportsmen, actors, writers, soldiers, filmmakers, businessmen, inventors, astronauts.
What on earth is an astronaut?
No, they're not.
I don't follow.
Well, they're not on Earth, they're in space. In fact, Brother Buzz Aldrin was the second man to walk upon the surface of the moon.
That's the best thing I've heard this evening.
What, that a Mason walked on the moon?
Man on the moon. Amazing. But don't forget the musicians. Do not forget the musicians.
Known as that rule of three again. The 3 degrees.
Freemasonry has burned as a blazing fire through the last 3 centuries.
As permanent master of these 3 lodges, I now call on my deputy masters.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, on behalf of the Brethren of Royal Somerset House,
Most Worshipful Grand Master,
our ceremonies and forever remind us of our incomparable heritage and the birth of organised Freemasonry,
stressing the deep and sincere loyalty and affection felt by the Brethren of the United Grand Lodge of England for their Grand Master.
We leave the Royal Albert Hall even more proud of our ancient institution.
Most Worshipful Grand Master, I humbly ask you to complete the initiation of this worthy candidate for Freemasonry.
I hereby read the text of a letter sent today to Buckingham Palace. May it please your Majesty, we, the representatives of over 200,000 Freemasons under the United Grand Lodge of England, most respectfully express our continuing loyalty to your Majesty's throne and person in this, the 66th year of your long and distinguished reign, of His Royal Highness the Duke of Kent, as our much loved and greatly respected Grand Master. We humbly thank God for preserving our order and fervently pray His blessings on your Majesty, so that our loyal devotion to your Majesty may long continue. Given at the Royal Albert Hall this 31st day of October, Anno Domini 2017. Her Majesty has been pleased to reply in the following terms. The Queen has asked me to thank you for your kind letter of loyal greetings on behalf of the representatives of the Freemasons under the United Grand Lodge of England, which are being celebrated on the 31st of October at the Royal Albert Hall. Her Majesty appreciated your thoughtfulness in writing as you did.
I had the pleasure of meeting 136 Grand Masters visiting from overseas at Freemasons Hall yesterday. Today, though, we are a meeting of more than 4,000, gathered from all around the world, from our own constitution and beyond. When the global Masonic family comes together to celebrate our past and to renew our own pride and confidence in and enthusiasm for Freemasonry.
Deep in the forest of Belgium, just outside the little village of Munau, lies a dark castle, a place so forbidden, many locals refuse to even speak of it. Shrouded in secrecy and heavily guarded, it is rumored to be home to unspeakable horrors. Officially, its name is Chateau Amaroy, aka the Mothers of Darkness Castle. It has been accused of being the epicenter of the Illuminati underworld, hosting some of the elite's darkest rituals, high-level monarch programming. Join me as we unlock the secrets of Mothers of Darkness Castle and discover why it has earned the nickname the most evil place on Earth.
One investigator said it was like going back to the Middle Ages.
One of the Illuminati's top ritual castles.
And of 1,000 points of light.
The elite love their secluded castles and stately homes, far from the prying eyes of the public, where they can engage in perverse and strange practices for the worship of their ancient gods. In Belgium lies just such a castle, the menacing Chateau Amaroi. It has been named by researchers as one of the main ritual centers of the Illuminati, but researching it proves difficult. Little information about this castle is available, and the owners appear to be doing everything they can to keep it that way. Almost no pictures of the interior exist online. Even the BBC and National Geographic have allegedly been denied access. The castle's wooded perimeter is heavily guarded, with cameras, electric fences, tripwires, and more. The castle was originally built for Prince Philip of the notorious Saxe-Coburg-Gotha royal bloodline, the same family as the British royals, who are descended from Vlad the Impaler, the original Dracula. Today, it is owned by an elite family of Belgian industrialists called the Solvays. The Solvays are one of the wealthiest families in Belgium. They own large pharmaceutical and chemical companies responsible for the notorious drug Prozac and the industrial-scale production of fluoride and fluoride products that get added to the water we drink. Although officially named Chateau Amaroi, the castle is better known as the Mothers of Darkness Castle, due to it being the alleged meeting place of a special rank of Illuminati witches known as Mothers of Darkness. Mothers of Darkness are high adept witches who come from old satanic families. The macabre rituals they perform would make your blood run cold. The candidates for the Mothers of Darkness are subjected to ritual abuse from childhood, resulting in a dissociative mind that is easy to program. Most high-level Illuminati witches have some dissociated identities known as multiple personalities. Mothers of Darkness are programmed and initiated within the mysterious Chateau Amaroi.
Mothers of Darkness seem to be like deep satanic priestesses that have also then raised daughters and or granddaughters and have been over many of the women involved. So they are deeply well known in the underground of satanic ritual abuse and multiple personality disorder.
But these elite witches aren't the only reason the castle maintains such strict privacy. The site is also said to be home to the Belgian elite's satanic Eyes Wide Shut parties, which involve children and are usually filmed for blackmail. This was all revealed during the infamous Dutroux scandal that nearly caused a revolution in Belgium and saw the resignation of top officials. It all began in the early 90s when children started going missing in alarming numbers. It took Belgian authorities 4 years to arrest a man named Marc Dutroux, despite numerous credible tip-offs that he was kidnapping and holding girls prisoner, including one from his own mother. Dutroux was procuring these children for the Belgian political elite and aristocracy to use as party favors for their blackmail operations. After the scandal broke, one Belgian senator noted that such parties were part of a system which operates to this day and is used to blackmail highly placed people. The same system of blackmail operates all over the Western world and is one of the Illuminati's primary means of control. The Dutroux witness files are replete with stories of such parties taking place in castles, and one specifically named the Chateau Amaroi.
And so I exposed this ritual castle in southern Belgium. And at first, this was in 1991, and a number of years transpired, and it was like I was a voice in the wilderness and nobody had heard. But eventually it did get heard. And what happened is in Belgium, the Belgian government was toppled. They had big protests in Brussels a couple times where there were over 500,000 Belgians protesting their government. And the reason why is because there was a big scandal that broke loose where people had discovered that there were satanic covens in their government, the government of Belgium. And this got connected in, and people then were able to connect what was going on and some of the people back to this castle that I had exposed.
Because Belgium is the global center of the European Union and NATO, many of the so-called elite from around the world attend these parties. A Belgian newspaper reported that a former commissioner of the European Union was among a group of judges, lawyers, and policemen who attended orgies organized by one of Dutrox's assistants.
Sorry, this comes from the Sunday Times back in 1996, but here goes. Quote, Brussels satanic sects involved in bizarre rites, including human sacrifice, are being linked by Belgian police with this summer's string of grisly pedophile murders in which at least 4 children died. 5 witnesses came forward last week and described how black masses were held and which children were killed in front of audiences were said to have included prominent members of Belgian society.
Many of these witnesses described hunting parties, where children were allowed to run in the forest and then hunted down like animals. These adrenaline-pumping events are said to be a favorite of the psychopathic elite. Abuse survivors Kathy O'Brien, Fiona Barnett, and Paul Benassi all have described similar hunting parties, known to the elite as the most dangerous game.
It was early evening when they played Most Dangerous Game. I was stripped of my clothing. I was allowed to wear tennis shoes and told that I could have a head start and begin running before I would be hunted down. My exposure to it resulted in my believing I had no place to run and no place to hide. It seemed there were no limits to what could happen in my existence at that time. Was one of the most extreme situations I think I ever survived.
One investigator remarked that it was like something out of the Middle Ages. Dutrox was heavily connected to the satanic underworld. One cult we know he provided children for is called Abraxas. Abraxas is an openly satanic group which names itself after a pot-bellied demon called Abraxas. In 1996, police discovered a note to Dutrox from a mysterious person calling themselves Anubis. The note informed Dutrox that a special ceremony was coming up and instructed him to provide quote-unquote presents for the high priestess of the Abraxas order, and even gave specific details as to the age and sex the presents should be. No doubt some of these children Dutrox kidnapped were delivered to the Mothers of Darkness Castle, where researchers have reported that child sacrifices take place nearly every day.
And I gave the location. Eyewitnesses who had been in rituals in the castle where children were sacrificed, and the blood of these children is drained and quill pens are filled up, and the blood is used to write an account of what the Illuminati have done that day and bring about the plan.
Ultimately, Dutrox was jailed, but his high-profile clients got off scot-free. A curtain of secrecy descended over the entire case, and the investigation was stopped from going any further before the rest of the ring could be exposed.
du trou qui était le prédateur isolé, entre guillemets, d'accord, qui faisait bouc émissaire pour protéger tout l'immense réseau belge qui implique en premier lieu les deux rois belges qui se sont succédés. Il faut le savoir.
It is no accident that this den of Satanism is located in Belgium. The small, picturesque nation on the border of France has been named by alternative researchers as an Illuminati capital and headquarters of the New World Order. It is home to the European Union and NATO, making it a central hub for high-level Luciferian rituals. International financiers, politicians, and businessmen come to Belgium for business and make a stopover at the Chateau Amaroi, or one of the region's many other satanic estates, to participate in the sacrifices and blood rituals required of an Illuminatus. Remember the Dutch banker Ronald Bernard, who claimed the top world leaders and financiers are forced to take part in satanic activities, and he himself was asked to attend a child sacrifice.
It was the good life. But then at some point, I was invited, which is why I'm telling you all this, to participate in sacrifices abroad. That was the breaking point. Children.
You were asked to do that?
Yes. And I couldn't do that. The purpose of the whole thing, eventually, in that world, is that they have everybody in their pocket. You need to be susceptible to blackmail. And blackmailing me proved to be very hard if I look back on it.
According to researcher David Icke's book, The Biggest Secret, Belgium, or Balgium, was actually established to be a headquarters for the satanic elite. And it is for this reason that the Saxe Coburg Gotha, aka the Windsor bloodline, was imposed to rule over it. Belgium is still ruled by a royal family, who are very much above the law. The aristocracy is deeply involved in satanic secret societies. At the '88 Republican National Convention, GOP loyalists cheered as George H.W. Bush took the stage to accept the party's presidential nomination. It was the first time America would hear a strange, mystical phrase that would become synonymous with President Bush: 1,000 points of light.
I've spoken of 1,000 points of light.
Dream and 1,000 points of light.
Despite no one knowing what it meant, he went on to say it again at his inaugural address. Once again, few in the audience, except for members of the Illuminati, knew the significance of that bizarre phrase, or the location to which it secretly referred. Inside Mothers of Darkness Castle is a special room used as the place of ceremony for the highest orders of the satanic hierarchy. Inside the ornate room are balconies and a magnificent dome containing 1,000 lights. This is what Bush was alluding to by 1,000 points of light.
Now here it is. It's raining like hell. This is the Mother of Darkness castle. I can't get any further. It's very dangerous here. You see the trip wires here? Look here. You got a trip wire. Well, my lens is like condensing. Wait a minute. It's okay. And the house, it belongs to the family of Solvay. There's the Viking connection, because the Vikings, you know, they were at the Faroes. They call them the Haunebu, or the Sea Peoples, Haunebu, which is a Scandinavian word. Haun, it's a heaven. It's a harbor. A bu, it means to live, like neighbor. And Solvay, he's making pharmaceuticals, you know, like Prozac. You see where I'm getting at, right? Well, you need children, you know, for the experiments as well. I hope nobody is sneaking up to me.
Yeah, so this is why they snatched the children. You know, this was built by the brother of the Belgian king a couple of 100 years back. I'm really sorry, but I don't feel like getting any further. You know, they will only take my camera away and the footage. Now I've been walking the whole day, you know. I'm very tired. There it is. And this is where, of course, where Dutroux, he brought the children. And this guy Solvay, in the middle of the First World War, that was in 1917, here comes the Swiss connection again. He built a hut. It's called the Solvay hut. That's S-O-L-V-A-Y. The Solvay hut. And guess what? In the middle of the First World War, in 1917, when the Belgian people, they were suffering. I just went to that village there, Rossignol, where the Germans, they shot 120 villagers in the First World War, around the same time. And this guy, he has so much power. In the middle of the war, well, he's dead now, but his ancestors, you know, to whom it belongs here now, yeah. And he built le Solvay refuge. That means the Solvay hideout. Why? Because Switzerland is the hideout for the Templars. And these guys are all Freemasons, they come from the Templars. And the height of this thing, the Solvay hut, is 4,003 meters, exactly. 4 plus 3 makes 7. You know, why 4,003 meters? It's quite high. It's the highest hut, the highest, like, hideout in Switzerland. A hut, you know, like if you have problems in the snow or snowboarding, avalanche or whatever. And I told you my Statue of Liberty film in France, where the number 4, it stands for the square. And with a square is 90 degrees, so you can make, wait a minute, I have to watch if it's not condensed. It's unbelievable. I'm having the worst weather you can imagine. Look, this is the Ardennes, the Battle of the Bulge. Yeah, I mean, I'm all wet. Look at my shoes here. Yeah, here. So I've got my jacket over me, you know, here. And I hope nobody's sneaking up to me, because it's got this thing here. You know. And there was another building as well. So I only do it in English. And so 4 stands for the square. The square is 90 degrees. So with 90 degrees, that's why it's called a square. You can make a square, which is the base of a pyramid. With the compass, which is 60 degrees, you can make a side of a pyramid, which stands for the number 3. There are 3 corners on it, or 3 sides. A square has 4 sides or 4 corners. So altogether it makes 7. The number 3 and 4, it stands for the square and compass. That's why he built the hut at 4,003 meters only. Well, the 3 only. 4,000 is quite a lot. And this is what these blokes do. They're all pharaohs. This is the king. There is a security on the other side. I walked through the forest for about 6 or 7 hours. I took a wrong way. I couldn't find it. You see, it's hard to find. So it's a good thing I came here in the winter. There's no leaves. Like in the summer, I wouldn't even have found it. You know, I would have tripped here over this thing here. Yeah. And well, there were some more things I wanted to tell you. So, yeah, he's making Prozac. You know, it's quite easy for all these medicals, you know, to find a soldier, a prisoner, or you know, somebody from a mental hospital, you know, to do the experiments on, to use your new medicals, yeah, after the rats and the monkeys, and so. But it's very hard to find children, you see. So they had these guys, and the other, it's called a satanic triangle. This one here, just on the other side of the border, it's not very far. There is the other bloke, Fourniret. He brought also children to a castle. You know, it's the aristocracy. They've always been doing this, and they come from Pharaoh, and they've always been doing this. You know, and on the other side is the Bouillon Castle. I'm going to show that all to you, which is a satanic triangle. Godefroy de Bouillon in 1095. He led the first crusades. You know, you'll probably find some Templars crosses and all that. And just next to it, there's little Switzerland. In Luxembourg, La Petite Suisse. Switzerland is always all over it. You know, The money is there, everything is there. They built their huts there. It's the refuge, le refuge, as the guy in the in the Templars Commandery in Strasbourg, as he told me. It's Switzerland all over. They're the base. 1 million Swiss Americans in the US. They control the entire US. Yeah. So I have to look at my yeah. So I'm sorry. I really don't feel like getting any closer here. You know, it's really dangerous here. Where is it? Yeah. Well, my lens is it's more up. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Yeah. Poor children. Nobody heard them cry here. That's why Dutroux, they brought him. And Dutroux, they're gonna leave him out. His wife, they already let her out. It's incredible. It's incredible. They let her out. And she, a woman, you know, a child has more confidence like in a woman. So she attracted the children. And she's out. You know, I already told you, we belong to them. We are their property. That's why you have a passport with your personal slave number on it. And if the knights in their shining uniforms, you know, if they knock on your window in your car and they say, papers please, it's a slave control, they want to see your slave number. They can take away our children if they want. They just snatch him and then leave the Dutroux, they leave him out of prison, and his wife, you know. We are slaves. We are slaves. They can do with us whatever they want, but they hide it because we don't accept it. We're all beaten peoples, the Germanic peoples, the Celt peoples, all of them, all of us. Of course the American Indians, all of us. So it's the Mother of Darkness castle. So who is the Mother of Darkness? It's Isis, of course. Very difficult to film for me. It's raining. So there's what it is. Evil. Pure evil. I can feel it, eh? Yeah, I can feel it. I think there was the sun hieroglyph somewhere. But I don't see it. Yeah, there it is. Sun hieroglyph. Pharaonic symbols. Our masters. They've always been ruling, eh? You see, there's the evil castle, and there's a sort of a monastery. I don't know if you can see it. Is there somewhere? No. Oh, this is difficult. There? No, I think it's there. Yeah, no. Oh, I can't see it. I need a camera, you know, to look through, or... Should be there. There's sort of a castle or a chapel for the satanic masses. This is weird, man. It looks like the door of some armored vehicle. It's really heavy. Yeah. Very heavy. Yeah. Thick glass, no, it's like straight. Oh, these guys are coming. Look, I'm at the wrong side of the fence now. The castle is there. Never mind. Let's have a look. Let's have a look then. Oh, there it is. Okay, there's the chapel or whatever it is. This place is so airy. It's really dodgy here. They do bad things here. And there's the castle. The Mother of Darkness castle. Well, let's get a bit nearer. That's it. Okay, I'm inside. This is the best shot I can get at. You know. Where are the sun hieroglyphs? Oh, there they are. No. Oh, I can't see them. I'll probably see them later only. Yeah. It's dangerous. This is a map of Belgium, Luxembourg and northern France. So here's a place called Little Switzerland, La Petite Suisse. Switzerland is always in it, and right next to it is the satanic triangle where children disappear and they get tortured and all that. So it's Bosval, where Fourniret, where the last castle is here somewhere. Bouillon, Godefroy de Bouillon is here. And Mouno, that's the little village next to it, is the castle of Dutroux. And there's a river which is called Lac du Serpent, the serpent. And it belongs to Solvay. Solvay is all connected to Switzerland. And there was another affair with pedophilia in Romania in 2015, one of the workers of Solvay. So Switzerland has got its fingers all over it, just as always they have, you know. So this here is the Satanic Triangle. Bouillon, the castle of the Mother of Darkness here, Mouno, and here Bosval, the other castle, where children disappear and all this. It's a Satanic Triangle, they call it, in and next to the Little Switzerland, yeah. So again, this is a Satanic Triangle, Bouillon, Mouno, and Bosval. 3 castles where children disappear. Children from all over Europe who disappear, they end up here. Yeah, with Little Switzerland next to it. So you see the Templars cross. So this is the castle of Bouillon. It's Godefroy de Bouillon. And so this is the other part of the Satanic Triangle with the Dutroux castle where they killed all the children, related to the pharmaceutical industry. So here you can see it. Templars crosses here. More Templars crosses here. Oh, this is the Swiss cross. Hey, Swissy! And this guy is so related, you know, the other guy from the other castle, so related to Switzerland. This guy from the pharmaceutical industry, the chemical industry, Solvay. So this is the castle of. It's quite impressive. So this is where the crusade started in 1095. It started here in Bouillon, in the south of Belgium. There's a nice river, and it ended in Switzerland in 1291. The end of the crusades. So that's all about the crusades. So here you can see this guy here. This is Godefroy de Bouillon. This is where we got the word bouillon probably from, you know, this nice soup. Like make soup of the enemy. Yeah. They are our masters. They still are our masters. Can you imagine in the Middle Ages here, you know? The masters on the hill. Yeah. You see it's raining, it's very hard filming. So I'm standing here under the pyramid roof almost. I'm completely wet. My socks, my underwear, my t-shirt, my dust bag a little bit wet. I've got 2 plastics over it. It's been raining for days. Oh, man. For a nice medieval sensation. Pharaoh, me, all wet. And they sitting dry there, you know, drinking their tea, eh? Swissy. That's where they went to, Switzerland. They rule the world. Nice river. It's all forest around it. Again, you see, it's all forest. All over. Yeah. The tourist house. I get some information. So the church in Bouillon, where the castle is, it's full of Templars crosses. Well, I've already seen this in the south of France. Oh. Nice little ghetto blaster. A Templar's ghetto blaster. See, here's some more Templar stuff. Well, they're the ones who rule over the Vatican with their Swiss guard, eh? The Templar boys. Well, this symbol here, it meant in the Middle Ages, you're welcome in our castle. Oh, let's go. So even the poets here, it says it's a poet, and his name is Le Roi. That means the king. Even the poets, they are from the, of course they are. Aristocratic. And there's the castle. There's a nice river there. I'll be back in summer, have a dip in the pool, eh? If the Lord will allow me. And, octagonal. Well, hexagonal. Not bad. Nice stable. I slept in the forest, but I could have slept here actually. Not too bad. Well, go and count the lines here. It's probably 13, eh? So there he is, the bloke. Let's have a nearer look. So, you know, it's all forest around it. Beautiful. Coat of arms of the town, probably. There he is, Mr. Godefroy. Froid means cold. Reptilians. Aye. He spoke French and German. Like a real Swissy. It started and it ended up in Switzerland. Yeah. Of course he spoke German as well. Anyway, Godefroy. Gottfried. It's a Germanic name. Oh, he looks friendlier from the other side actually. Looks a bit like me. Oh boy. Ah, well, okay. Pharaoh. Me. I'm still wet. You got the real Templar stuff. It's interesting what it says here on the side. Well, there's only one knight on it. What's that? And here it says in Old French, Dieu le veut. If God wants. Well, probably Satan himself, eh? Bunch of killers, rapists, child molesters, satanic. Oh, there's the entrance of Pharaoh. Too bad there's a truck. Well, I'm not going in anyway. It's always the same. There he is again. Cannon. Oh, here's some more castles. Oh, I'm going here. Sedan. There's the triangle. Here, Sedan, Bouillon. And the other, oh look at it here, the lion and the checkerboard symbol, and it's red and white of the United Kingdom of Pharaoh. Watch my film. Like the White House and the Red House. Aye. Nice, nice. Walk down here. Hi mate, you were welcome too. Ah, that's why there was the dagger, because you're welcome, but if you don't behave, you'll end up here. Only we, the pharaohs, the lords, we don't behave. And you just bring us the women and we rape them. Oh yeah, and the children too, of course. We torture them, we bring them to the castle. Amazing. 1,000 years old. Probably one of the first castles, but there were no castles before this one. Roughly the year 1000, there are no castles. It's all import of Pharaoh. Oh look, it looks like the French metro here. The French, the underground. Oh, this is more like overground. Probably gonna stop me here. So in 1040 the Lady of Bouillon was born here. She was the daughter of Godfather with the beard. Yeah, the beard, don't I? I don't need to go in here. I'll read that later. Quite impressive. French metro. Oh, I don't have a French metro ticket anymore. That was the guard. Yeah, the order of the guard. So here's the castle from the other side. See. And it has a river on both sides, so it's taking a U-turn here. Around the castle, there it's taking a U-turn. And it goes on the other side. Very strategic, you always got water. Yeah. A lot of holes in there. Pharaohs. There's a black and white checkerboard thing, you know, the circle. They got this funny thing here, it's got 11 sticks, believe me. You can count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. You can count from here, it's 11. In the middle is the ring, you know, like the basic pitches. And you see there's a gap here, where it could fit in exactly 2 other sticks to make it 13. You know, so that means their total control has not been perfected yet. The New World Order, the system is there, but it's not been perfected yet because there's still 2 sticks left, a place for 2 sticks. That was me. Now it's sunny weather, a little bit rainy. Let's have a look at the castle from the other side. You know, the children here, they are getting used to knights being shot at, you know, like later on in life, the police, they just do what they want, you know. To show them the knights are the good ones, hey, you get used to them. Poor kiddies. It gets stuck in the brain, you know, the whole chivalry romantics, eh? I know people who are 70 or 60 that still believe it, you know, and collecting like things. Yeah. But they're bastards. They were bastards, they still are. So the castle of Les Amérois, it's just 15 kilometers from here. You know, it's all connected. It's another castle, it's still the king, you know. And that's where they rape and the children, do satanic stuff with it. Because Egypt was all about black magic anyway, you know. As it says in the Bible anyway. And Amérois, so the other castle, in the Demotic language. It was raining, so it was so hard to film, you know. It means big or pregnant. Mer or meru, it means the pyramid, and roi, it means the king. So it means the kings of the big pyramid. The Mother of Darkness castle, and this one is quite dark too, you know. It's all related. It's only 15 clicks away. And you see another pyramid on the car. With 3 for Isis, Horus and Seth. Horus is the little one, Isis, Seth the big one. It's all over, you know. And the 2 sticks missing, you know, it also represents like 2. It means 2 to 12. We're deed, you know. We're finished. It's 2 to 12. It needs 2 more, and then they got their thing all set and all. Egypt here with their slaves, we're all lost. So here it is, the Solvay hut, and it's not Swiss, it is actually Belgium, and it's exactly at 4,003 meters, because the square is for the number 4, and the 3 is for the compass. And with a compass you can make the side of a pyramid, which stands for the number 3, a triangle, you know, with 3 corners in it, and the square you can make the base of a pyramid. So that's the square, which stands for the number 4. I already showed that in my film on the Statue of Liberty, and this is why the number 7 and the G is the 7th letter between the square and compass. And this Belgian guy, Solvay, here's the name, he built this hut in the middle of the war when his people, you know, they were executed, not really by the Germans, by the aristocracy. So here it says in Wikipedia, you can find yourself the whole thing, you know, it's exactly at 4,003 meters, which is the highest hut in the world, the most dangerous. So this guy to whom the Dutroux castle belongs to, you know, this is very important for them. So this is how his pharaonic Freemason pals, they all know who he is. He's very important, you see. And this guy is fabricating Prozac, Solvay. Well, and so on. I'm sorry, I'm sitting in a library. I can't really film it the way I want, you know. So I still don't have nobody is, you know, I don't have a place, yeah. I'm sleeping here on the ridge in the Ardennes. As you can see, you know, it's all mountains around, all forest, everywhere. All, you know, all around here. I think the river is going all around here. It's called Le Semois, where the Chateau Bouillon is. And actually I should have walked a little bit further. There was a nice flat part, yeah, instead of here. Instead of there on the ridge, you know, I should have walked a little bit further. There's some nice terrain here, pretty flat some parts of it. Just didn't see it. Completely different, see, with all the leaves. I don't know, very different part here. Different trees, maybe. Now, these are pine trees here. And these are the other ones, that's why. Only here, only on this part here, although otherwise it's all around, it's pine trees. The leaf trees here, that's why. Different energy. So, well, but never mind, I was there. The castle of Soto, Satan's castle himself, in the satanic triangle here. They did it with hundreds of children over hundreds of years. You know, this is how they get the demons and Satan to work for them, so they can conquer the human race and the world as they already did and win all the wars for them. So there it is. This is next to Sidon. So this is the other part of the satanic triangle here. The castle of Soto, like Satan, Satan, Soto. And the aristocracy. It was built by a Freemason called Georges Corneau. Yeah, and a farmer just told me, very interesting, that the people who are living, who bought it, they're not, it's empty now, there's nobody in it. The first day they were here, the whole story, you know, because of a black girl, an African girl living in France, she escaped. And the first day in their castle here, the new owners, they had all the cops crawling over it. And so, of course, I mean, who wants to live in a place where small children have been tortured and murdered? You don't want to live in there, especially not with your family, and you know. So, and the name of this guy was Fourniret, which comes from Fourni Roi. Roi is the king, like Leroy means Le Roi, the king, the name, And fournir, it means to deliver, to deliver children. So fournir roi, it means somebody who delivers things for the king. So apparently there's, well, let's have a look. I'm not going to walk. Well, apparently there's nobody in here anyway. I infiltrate from the side, now through a forest here. So at least I can have my shot before I get caught. Path going to the castle, which you can see there. It's going there, but I'm not going to walk there. I'll walk here. Because I can lie down my stomach if a car passes and have a far better chance. I'm getting nearer. So there it is, the castle, and there's a car, so I'm going to stay here for the moment. I do a quick turn afterwards and to see if there's any signs. Oh, there's a sun hieroglyph, you see. Freemason. I belong to a Freemason. I have no doubt this guy was a Freemason, you know, who bought it and who killed all the kiddies. A Freemason, of course. How can you buy a castle from a Freemason if you're not one of them? Here too, there's a sun hieroglyph here. There it is. Watch my film The Pharaoh Show. It's the same as on an American airplane, you know, with a star in the middle. A satanic star. Freemason. They're all Freemasons. He was not alone. So the new law they just got out, new Pharaoh law, that anybody can have sex with a 13-year-old in France. It's just a couple of weeks old, which is completely in favor of these guys here, yeah, and of the Muslims, of course, because if you and the Americans, because if you're circumcised, see my film on the circumcision on my channel Gure or Chatsifrats, you know, it rubs in your pants and you're sexually much easier aroused. You know, since the Americans, they're all been circumcised in the 60s, in the 80s they became very strange. They're not like the Europeans anymore. These are pharaonic laws, you know, to make stupid citizens, you know, only think about sex and have nothing in their brains because it sucks their energy out, you know, at an early age when the brain has not been developed yet. See my film. And you know, nowadays we can read how an 11-year-old rapes another one, you know. We never had this before. It's because of the Muslims. It's because of the circumcision, which is not Islamic. Because you don't mutilate God's creation. It's satanic. You hear me? Satanic it is. So, you know, if you're a profiler, you know, you calculate things, you know, by chance. So this castle was built by a Freemason called Georges Cornell. Okay, already at 40% that the pedophile, the satanic guy, and so too Satan, this is not by chance, this name, eh? Another 10% for that. That he was a, and they did here the satanic stuff with children, another 30%. He was protected by the law. So you get to 95% that the serial killer Fourniret, he was a Freemason. I'm at 95%. Do you hear me? This is why they descended the age of, you know, having sex with a child at 13 in France. This is not the people's law. This is the law of the pharaonic aristocracy and the Freemason puppets. Here. So here, you know, and another thing, you know, the new owners, if you know, they said they were in here one day and then that the police crawling over them and all that, you know, and then to say they didn't know, you know, that's for the profiler chance calculation. That means there's another 20% of Fournier, you know, he was a Freemason, so he's 100% Freemason. A Freemason buys at a Freemason and he sells at a Freemason, especially castles like this, you know, they have to. It has to stay in their hands. Pharaoh's nobility, me. And we have to protect our children. So I'm going to take a long way up here, never take the direct route. It's going to rain again. And to see if there's any obelisks, because of course there is. They probably have a special room in there as well. A hidden room, the police probably never found it. The castle is down there. I'm going up here. I'm going to infiltrate from the other side, because I don't want to see the guys with the hammers again. You know, I don't want to be seen this time. And anyway, I can't get in anyway. I've got 40 times zoom on it. In a war, and this is a war against the real enemy, which is the enemy within, you don't go to the target directly in a war. If you're in the army, you go around and you look at it first from all sides. And that's all I want to do anyway. It's a path made by the animals. So this is the north of France here, the Ardennes. So you see like this, you see a lot more than if I would dashed in and get, you know, like arrested or stopped or caught. Yeah. And you see there's water behind it for ISIS. So there must be an obelisk. I'm very positive. It's all pharaonic Freemasonry. The dungeon. Sun hieroglyph. Another one is full of it. Oh, statue of Isis probably. Look at that. I don't know what that is. Pharaoh. These people are dangerous. They got all the police behind them, you know. So the other side is very wet. You can see the water. So I'm going to stay uphill, going down there all around so they can't see me. The nature, our European nature is protecting us, is protecting me. Again, in the middle of nowhere. It's all forest behind it. Who wants to build a damn castle in the middle of nowhere? They do. Triangle of the Freemasons here. Well, I tell you, you know, if you stay here in your tent, you know, and do a LUP, a lying up position, you'll see it's Saturday today. If I put my tent out, I'd see the Freemasons come here in the middle of the night, you know, in the evening. They still do their parties here, it still goes on, man. And even if it doesn't, they got their spirits now, they got their souls. Well, it goes on, I tell you. So the thing, you know, it has now been sacrificed, or you know, the house belongs to Satan now with the sacrifices, so they don't have to kill any more children. It's done. The souls are there, the dead children. So they go on. Now they say, "Oh, we are so nice," you know. So anybody who wants to come with me, just contact me on my email, and we'll see what we can do. We must stop this thing here. So I'm going to get some water here. It's nice fresh water coming out of the mountains. If it would be coming from the castle, I wouldn't drink it maybe. So I'm not going to drink this water here. It's stagnating. Take some fresh water. I'm empty. Yeah. So we're not in South Africa, it's not the desert, it's okay. Well, there was no other way really though, you know, to cross the dip here. And to go, you know, go through it. Take off my shoes, with my heavy backpack, which is on the other side already, still. And so, Pharaoh, me, two of them. So, I'll go back and get my, get the rest of it. Oh dear, better put my cam inside, eh? The water is damn cold, you know, there's my feet here. So, you know, if you want to do these things, you know, it's not like, you know, walk to the, walk inside, get caught, upload it, you know, and wait for the comments, you know, you must like it. Take your time, take the long way, you know, this is the long way, but it's short. And I can film a lot more things here. As my feet, for instance. Yeah, so made it. Get my backpack for the rest of the gear. Oh, my shoe! I need my shoes. It's bloody cold, eh? Oh, well, thank God I'm not a Pharaoh. They would be freezing, eh? What do you say about it? Oh yeah, well, no, well, I'm okay. I'm fine too, eh? So what do I do next? I took off my t-shirt and I'm going to dry my feet, you know. But that's more important. It's a little bit, it gets a little bit wet, but it will, you know, I'm walking around, so it'll dry up. The feet, because now they're cold, you know. So I'll do it better later on when I've got my two hands free. And I'll put my, doesn't get really wet very much, so I'll put these on. Merrill, really nice stuff, fantastic. What does it say again? Merrill, fantastic stuff. Good sole, they hold, been walking the whole winter on it. The M sign, Merrill. Probably it doesn't say. Oh, here it says. I don't know where it's from. Really nice. You know, you put them on and forget them. You know, that's what I put them on, I take them off and forget them. No worries. So him on the other side, I can't get any nearer because it's all marshes here. I just almost broke my neck here. You see all these branches here, you know, it's all over. So, you know, these guys, they really organized their coup, you know. They had the Europeans and the peoples fight each other. All the men are dead, they're all homos now. Get married and adopt a child, two guys. It's a misery. And they fought us, you know, from the inside out like a virus. They are very intelligent, the pharaohs. And they're doing their magic here, the black magic with our children, their sacrifices and all that, in these castles in the middle of nowhere. There are all marshes around it. I've got really a hard time to get everywhere here. So this is the enemy within, and they still do it. It's Eastern. It's the Eastern weekend 2018. They're gonna do something tonight. I feel it. They're gonna do something tonight. Yeah, and they don't have to, maybe they kill some more children, but I don't think that they have to do it because it's already been it's already a sacrifice to Satan here. The demons are here, everything, you know. They don't, yeah, it's all, they're demons. These pharaohs, they're devils. I mean, how come there's still people in it anyway? The horrible things I've been doing here. How come you can't go in here, walk around, you know, people who want to know what's going on? How come they're still hiding here? How come, yeah? And there are no real men anymore after all these wars. They only think about driving a big car and, you know, go to the disco and have a bigger car than yours and I've got a nice uniform or whatever. There are no more real men. They won. We're done. Ja, sun hieroglyph, hieroglyphe du soleil, zon hieroglyphe. And another one. I don't know what that is. So I came in through there, through the forest there. I'm trying to go out here, but it's all marshes. But there must be an obelisk here somewhere because of the water. Oh, where it is. I don't want to hang around here too long. I see a statue of a bird. Oh, there's a statue of a bird there. There it is. Well, it doesn't look like a falcon. And as next to any castle there is a tennis court for the aristocracy. I like that, you know. And they still use it, of course they do. It's not abandoned. See the water in between the tennis court and the castle there? Well, reptilians need water, eh? Oh, what did they do with the children here? And this has been going on for hundreds of years, I know. They've done hundreds of children here. Many. And it goes on. They are not animal, they are not human. It's seething with evil here. You won't believe it. The castle is there. I have to cross the river back. I pass it because it's all wet here. And the other side too. I don't want to have wet feet the whole night, you know. I have to walk the whole way to the road over there. Bare naked feet. So here's the entrance of the Satan's castle. And it says here, zone piégée. It means it's all trapped. Can you imagine? It's still going on. Why should it be otherwise trapped? It's going on. Bold liars. Red and white. You know, it's the United Kingdom of Pharaoh. What do you want? It goes on. Trapped. Bold. They kill our children. They rape them. Oh, I stop here. And men are so stupid. I can't get anyone to come with me. You know, you can get 22 idiots running after a soccer ball. That's what they can do. And my car is the biggest, bigger than yours, and nobody comes here, you know, to defend our children. That's humanity.
Don't know a thing about what that symbol actually represents, except on the most profane level as the implements of the farmer and the worker. You really believe that? The sickle, ladies and gentlemen, symbolizes Saturn, also known as Kronos, Saturn, or as the Greeks called it, Demiurgos, the operating engineer of the universe, as opposed to the creator of that universe, Satan, Lucifer. In the reign of Saturn, we see exorbitant building and modeling activities, and this is reflected in the Masonic reference to their god as the big builder or architect. And their nickname, the Builders, who erected the Tower of Babel. All this sounds reasonably attractive. Many of us can appreciate magnificent buildings and splendid projects along those lines. But as usual, ladies and gentlemen, there's much more to it than this. You see, that's the exoteric interpretation. Underneath is the truth. How many of you drive Saturns? How many of you drive Mazdas? How many of you even know the origin of those names and what they stand for? This Saturnian Masonic edifice complex, not edifice, but edifice complex, ultimately is building against the grain, against nature. What's wrong with that? Well, you'll Stick with me and you'll see. At the beginning, in the early eras, nature's forces were manipulated with a knowledge which required the greatest intimacy with her ways, as reflected in the various megalithic structures in the British Isles, Europe, and even ancient America. There's even beauty, simplicity, and power in this early architecture. And modern enthusiasts have mistaken the knowledge and sensitivity to natural forces intrinsic to this ancient technology as indicative of a positive force at work. But actually, with some crucial exceptions, the rise of the megaliths marked the rise of the Hermetic Academy into its dominant physical phase. The theory is that the megaliths pin down natural forces, helping to subdue nature's most savage furies. We marvel today at the Hoover Dam, but that symbol Latin construction is but a crude parody of the technology of the megaliths, which helped to dam the wildest forces of nature. The construction of these megaliths, heralded by New Age types as marvels of ancient ingenuity and cooperation with nature, are actually the first physical evidence of the end of Eden. Of that period on earth when humanity lived as the servants and friends of God's natural creation, as nomads and hunter-gatherers. You see, the great error of modern enthusiasts for what they regard as the magical, Merlin-esque, harmonious time of the Druids and Stonehenge in ancient Egypt is ignorance of the fact that the historical period they idolize was itself immersed in a tampering technology and materialism, which essentially marked a revolutionary break. A break, the cutting off, the severing of man's relation with the natural order. Well, what is wrong with that, you say? Well, according to John Mitchell, he said, the first revolution of Olympus marks the first deviation from the primeval ways of men presided over by Cronus, otherwise Saturn. End quote. Saturn is Lucifer, Satan. And this revolution marks the end of man's Edenic relationship with the natural world. You never understood it before, did you? I hope you're beginning to now. Henceforward, man is alienated from nature by means of the Saturnian Sith, which symbolizes the sense of separation from God's natural creation that man experienced after the fall. You see how simple it all really is? And it really is. That simple, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, man began his peregrination away from Eden through his conceit that he would become as God. Remember what happened in the Garden of Eden? God told Adam and Eve to tend the garden. Don't eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He commanded them not to. And he told them what would happen if they did. If ye do, ye will surely die. Lucifer, through his agent Satan, seduced Eve and told her, God lied to you. He's hiding your true nature. He doesn't want you to know that if you eat of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you too will become as gods. And Eve, in turn, seduced Adam. That's the story in the book of Genesis. Now, I'm not telling any of you to believe any of this. I am teaching you the esoteric knowledge of the mysteries. And in these mystery schools and mystery religions, they believe that Lucifer was the good one and God, Jehovah, was the bad one, because he was holding man enslaved in the chains, the bonds of ignorance, in this Garden of Eden. Lucifer, through his agent Satan, set man free, knocked off the chains with the gift of knowledge. And through the use of this gift of knowledge, man himself will become God. That is the story. And so many people fall for this deception. For no man, I can assure you, will ever be God. Ever. No part can ever be equal to or greater than the whole. That's one of the greatest lessons you can ever learn. You think you could pick up a bushel of apples, squeeze them together and make the original tree from which they came? No. You can take the seed from the apple and plant it and grow another apple tree, but that apple tree will not be the original tree from which the seed sprang. Never. Not ever in a million years. Nor can all of the apple trees, from all of the seeds, from all of the apples that fell from that tree ever, in their entirety, be that same original tree. And of course, I'm making a little metaphor here, which is nothing even approaching the discrepancy between man becoming a God and God who made man. And I hope you can understand that. Man has a conceit that he would become as God. Yet, as soon as he left the divine plan for the occult process, his stated objective became the Kabbalistic Tikkun Olam, or, quote, repair of the world, end quote. In other words, God's creation was not perfect. Man is going to perfect it. Man is going to repair the imperfections in God's world via the intervention and imposition of human brain power, the very egomaniacal device that caused the separation from God's natural Eden in the very first place. Repair of the world. Indeed. A world the Kabbalists had only just ruined. Repair the world? Man can't even repair himself. I don't know any man that's perfect. I don't know any man that hasn't had problems. I don't know any man that's not hiding some dastardly secret he doesn't want anybody else to know. I don't know any man who hasn't done wrong to himself or others. Repair the world? Repair yourself first. And I doubt it can be done. It is not the nature of man. After the Saturnian division, Hermetic man saw himself as separate and inevitably above nature, though always quick to identify himself as nature's benign shepherd. Oh, what a deception this is. This mighty occult shepherd king figure has emerged in history under the forms of Arthur, Merlin, Pendragon, Prester John, John F. Kennedy, and many others. He is the personification of the manipulation of nature by secret technology on behalf of a secret hierarchy, which, if known at all, is always careful to present itself as the supreme friend of divine creation. If the expulsion from the Garden of Eden, that is to say, the literal alteration of man's circumstance of living solely upon God's bounty and providence, was the result of satanic intervention, why has it not dawned on us that civilization is itself satanic? Oh, that's a good one to send you to bed with, isn't it? But that's exactly the question that you should be pondering. In the Hermetic Masonic tradition, the secret identity of Satan is the force represented in occult lore as emanating from the star Sirius, the so-called dog star, Canis Major. And in the secret tradition of the Freemasons, Sirius is overwhelmingly identified with a single primary attribute, the bringing of civilization to Earth. The heirs of this magical current were saluted by the Illuminist and master alchemist Comenius in his 1668 book entitled The Way of Light. Remember, Lucifer is the fallen angel of light. The book was dedicated to the first scientific organization in Western history, Britain's August Royal Society. In it, Comenius addressed the first formal scientists as, quote, Illuminati, end quote, and outlined their scientific purpose, quote, which is to secure the empire of the human mind over matter, end quote. And I've had so many people call me or write me and deny the very existence of the Illuminati. In a key Rosicrucian description of the city of Utopia, it is shown to be dominated, ladies and gentlemen, by science and mechanics, and more ominously by the medical dissection of cadavers, in other words, by the hyper-analytical obsession of rationalism with dead matter and measurement. The utopian city of the Rosicrucians is before us today. New York and Los Angeles, Babylon the Great. And it was planned in 1668 and long, long before. You see, we have forgotten the depth of the roots of the modern disease. We have accepted the pop-hap that anything that predated the more obvious rapacity of modern industrial pollution was natural or magical. The notion of magic being identified with the pristine. Hence, we have denied ourselves knowledge of the beginning of the rise of the cryptocracy. John Mitchell said, quote, "It is their immediate concern, having eaten of the tree of knowledge, to apply all their newly acquired arts to constructing a facsimile of the garden, a model paradise," end quote. But you see, they just don't get it. There was already an architecture prior to man's imposition of his structures and inventions. This was the architecture of the natural landscape as shaped by God. To claim that to have left it as it was would have been barbarous and backward is symptomatic of the diseased occult mind and its gigantic egotistical pathology. I have never in my life seen anything ever built or rendered by the hand of man that ever equaled the absolute breathtaking beauty of the natural scape. As long as it was left as God created, it was paradise. Everybody is looking for the Garden of Eden. Don't you understand? It's all around you. The earth is the Garden of Eden. We were cast out of it. Due to our blindness, we feverishly cooperate with the imposition upon the earth as our own version of Eden, which always ends in the creation of Babylon, hell on earth. John Mitchell said again, quote, "Settlement leads to the establishment of social hierarchies, to specialization, the development of arts and sciences, the building of temples and houses. For millions of years, men, essentially the same as we are now, lived without these and presumably without feeling the need for them." Tacitus described a German tribe that lived entirely without artificial shelter. The phenomenon of successive towns built around the same sacred place, the spirit of which became the foundation deity, receiving the sacrifices offered in expiation of the crime of settlement, and giving the law by which the city was governed. Implicit in this law was a contract between man and God, by which the first was permitted a conditional and limited use of land for agricultural and building in return for duties and observances paid to the second. So it was understood by the founding fathers of all of the ancient cities. And the rituals tell you this. But as cities expand, these limitations become more onerous and neglected, with the result that, in the language of Apocalypse, the city becomes Babylon, a parasitic whore, and proceeds toward destruction. In this belief, the traditional element in ancient Rome objected to expansion beyond the original city boundaries, considering it a breach of the foundation contract. Such councils were, of course, ignored, just as they're ignored today, and in consequence, Rome, following the career of all previous empires, became Babylon indeed. Civilization, you see, tends to grow more elaborate and to make ever greater demands on the earth as sustains it. There comes a time when the old natural devotion to the earth is exchanged for the desire to increase the products of the earth by artificially stimulating its fertility. This stage is marked in history by the appearance of sun gods, divinities of reason, intellect, and centralized government, whose legends refer always to their victories over dragons, in effect, nature. The dragon is sometimes representative of self. The battle in the mind. When St. George was said to have slain the dragon, he overcame himself. This policy of artificially increasing the earth's fertility and multiplying the gifts of its spirit instead of accepting what is given by nature is evident in the staking of the earth in symbolism, as is seen in the motif of the knight spearing the dragon, which is sometimes viewed as the pinnacle of the victory of light over dark. How many times have you heard Clinton say that? There's a great battle between the forces of light over the forces of darkness. Cicero said the same thing. Hitler said the same thing. All through history, despots and Babylons have been mouthing the same thing over and over and over again. But ladies and gentlemen, we should also be aware that there is an alternate occult reading of this image. This Arthurian symbol has been celebrated by pagans and Freemasons as a sign of man's usurpation of natural creation. The staking process is seen by them as a means to pin down the heretofore flowing character of the energy of creation so as to be harnessed and bled by Stonehenge-like technology in order to give greater and greater resources to man. The Washington Monument is one such pinning down. It is the phallus of Osiris, the generative force, capturing the creative energy for man's use. Mitchell said, quote, "The appearance of the sun god signals the introduction of a technology that aims to alter the natural channels of the earth spirit and to stimulate its energies for the benefit of an increasingly large settled population. From all that has recently been discovered about the scientific knowledge and methods of the megalith builders, it appears that their system was in the magical tradition of Egypt, Babylon, and the ancient East. At Delphi, by spearing the serpent and localizing its energies, Apollo raised the productivity of the oracle. Every ancient standing stone is like the omphalos in the temple of Apollo, driven into the head of the telluric serpent, current fixing and augmenting the earth energies which had formerly fluctuated. Yet in the end, the system became onerous and ineffective, demanding at least as much from the people as it gave in return. Here is revealed the inevitable betrayal by the institutionalized system of technology of the people who have come to depend upon it. The land had become more productive, the people richer and more numerous, until, under the influence of cyclical changes in the heavens, the flow began to withdraw from the temples and take other paths. The latter-day priests, having neglected the principles of the old astronomical science by which the temples were first sited and planned, and no longer sensitive to the earth's spiritual energies, could only resort to more frantic invocations, attended by ever-increasing sacrifice in attempts to repeat the former results, and thus followed, as it has on many occasions, and in many places over the world, a reaction against the artificial and ever more futile proceedings of the magicians and a return to simpler ways, end quote. We will continue this tomorrow night. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and God bless each and every single one of you.